Hello, happiness abounder, and welcome back. Today I want to talk about the weight of debt. We're continuing our chat all about debt's impact on our happiness. And frankly, there is a physical, a mental, and an emotional weight that comes with debt. So the first thing I want to ask you is, if you have debt in your life, how is it impacting you? And take a minute, take a breath, big breath, and then ask yourself, does this weight or this debt feel heavy? And chances are, yes, it does. And if it doesn't, I want you to listen to the tone of voice and actually ask, did you give yourself enough room there? What I mean by that is, if you were like, nope, I feel great. I need debt. I need it for school, or I need it for good credit. So yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. I feel great. There is no weight to my debt. Can you tell the tone and the speed there? So if that was you, give yourself a little bit of grace here. Trust me a little bit and just take a big breath, a slow, non-sarcastic big breath, and then ask yourself, is my debt weighing on me? And your brain's going to start to give you so many answers. Yes, it is. It's weighing on you here. It's weighing on you here. It's weighing on you here. And any of those areas that come to your mind, I guarantee they're either going to be physical, mental, or emotional. And that weight of debt manifests in those areas, in those three positions in many areas of our lives. Physically, the weight of debt can be exhaustion. So you're just so tired all the time. The weight of debt can be weight gain, right? Because we don't want to deal with it, so we want to kind of shove it to the side and not pay attention to it, so let's eat instead. It can be illness, right? Just immune system worn down because of the weight of the stress of debt. Physically, that's the area that we can see the most. But let's talk about emotional and mental for a second. Mental weight of debt, constant worry about how you're going to pay the bills or about what's owed and the phone calls you're getting. And it's just constant. Your brain is working through trying to solve for this, but also constantly trying to not pay attention to it because it's hard and we don't know how to pay attention to it. Granted, I wasn't taught in school how to manage money. And the way you manage money may be totally different than the way I manage money. And that may be predicated on how my parents handled money or didn't handle money, depending, right? And your parents, it could be predicated on what you listened to, what you saw. It could be predicated on a teacher teaching you how to write a check. Yeah, that happened in my school. I don't even use checks anymore, but hey, I know how to write one. And it's just things like that there are so many pieces that have come together to create our money mindset. And the biggest one is society saying that debt is okay. But none of them talk about the weight of debt. Is it okay to feel like crap in your body because of the mental stress that you are causing yourself because you emotionally cannot engage in this activity anymore because the debt is too heavy? Now, your debt ranges could be anywhere, right? You could be $5 in debt, and that could have a toll on you in those three areas. You could be $50,000 in debt, $500,000 in debt, and you will have tolls in those areas. There is a heaviness physically, a heaviness mentally that contributes to the exhaustion, right? Physically, you may be all right, but mentally you're exhausted and have a difficulty functioning and everything's fuzzy because you just can't get clear on how to solve this debt problem. And then the last one is the emotional. You're rubbed raw. Think about this. If I asked you to hold a marker, just hold a marker out in front of you, right? And you have it out in front of you and just hold it. And I asked you to hold it for 10 minutes. What felt easy at the time when you said, yeah, sure, I'll hold a marker this way, gets heavier and your arm gets tired and that marker just starts to weigh on you. And you're like, oh my gosh, this marker, I just want to let it go. I just want to let it go. But I don't know how because I just picked it up without even thinking about it. And now it's this big, heavy marker and it's weighing on me. And your brain is trying to convince yourself all the ways to work around it. So your brain's getting exhausted. Physically, your arm is getting tired. And then emotionally, you're like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. It's just too hard. I'm worried all the time. I'm sad. I feel like I'm broken because I owe so much and the weight is so heavy. And it might have all just started out in this analogy with holding a marker, right? A quick, yeah, sure, I can grab that. Sure, I can spend that money. I don't have it, but I can go spend it. There is a heaviness, an impact, physically, mentally, and emotionally that comes with debt. So that said, when you look at debt and you're like, wait, do I have that weight? Is it weighing on me emotionally to the point that I'm rubbed raw and I'm quick to anger and quick to temper, or I'm just want to crawl into bed and not focus on things, and I want to emotionally buffer hardcore, which then of course affects you mentally and physically as well. They're all intertwined, of course. But if you are feeling that weight in one of or all of those areas because you have debt, I want you to consider what your next steps are. And even considering what your next steps may be will help you feel lighter. Now, here's the thing. You're going to add to the heaviness if you're like, oh my gosh, I need to be out of debt tomorrow, and I need to make a game plan, I need to act on it, and I need to pay off $30,000 by the end of the year. It's the end of November as I'm recording this. So you want to pay off like your brain's like, great, we're going to do this, we're going to go hard, I'm going to pay off all this money, I'm going to do it right now. And then when you go to sit down and do a plan, it feels so overwhelming that you like can't do it, right? So I just want you to consider, instead of going full all that way, I want you to consider one step at a time. And what is your first step? Don't go past that first step because that'll add to the weight. But if you have just one step, it'll add to the hope and the light. And there is light at the end of the tunnel. And maybe the first step is just writing down the debt and the amount. And that's all you do today. And then tomorrow, what's the next step I need to do? All right, I need to put them in order. Lowest, smallest amount to largest amount. Okay, great. I need to now, next day, day 3, put the day that the payments are due. I need to do this, I need to do this, and now I'm going to create a budget, and now I'm going to do this, and now I'm going to pay this. And you can start to slowly, step by step, start to feel the weight lift as the debt goes away because you've taken things step by step. So you can have lightness in your life if you can get rid of the heaviness of debt and you're willing to dedicate yourself to it. You're willing to be a little bit more disciplined with yourself about it. Now, I'm not talking budget disciplined. Yes, absolutely. But I mean here, be disciplined in one day, one step at a time, and continuing to make progress and gain momentum. That puts us back to the first episode of this theme week about moving, right? To gain momentum, you've got to, and to get out of the weight of debt, you've got to keep on moving. The second you stagnate and you're like, I just can't do this anymore, is when that weight comes back. Now, this could be money debt, but it could also be other kind of debt too. So just keep that in mind too. If something came to you about what is other debt and then you had a thought, that's probably what your other debt is. So that said, I'm going to leave you with that today. I feel like this is a very much weighted episode. It's the kind of thing you really have to get introspective on and figure out where you're feeling that weight of debt, if you have debt. And your first next step to starting to feel a little bit lighter so that you can have more and better health mentally, emotionally, and physically, and monetarily as well. So I'm going to leave you with that today. I hope that this episode helped. I hope that it got you thinking, like I said, a little bit more introspective than actionable, but I think that that's what you need sometimes, especially when it comes to debt. And as you're looking towards the new year, I hope that you remember you can take that weight off, you can feel lightness, and above everything else, you are capable of happiness abound.